pause? Okay. Shalom everyone. Hilulat Sameach. And thank you to Rabbi Pinchas as usual for arranging an amazing meal and Chavod with Moshe Rabbenu. And what can we say about Moshe Rabbenu? I mean, he's the only person that really has the title of Rabbenu, which is for everyone. There's everyone in Israel, and even if you say to a non-Jew, if you say Moshe Rabbenu, you explain to them Moshe our teacher, they know straight away who you're talking about. They don't start thinking, oh, maybe the Rambam, maybe they know. Everyone knows Moshe Rabbenu is the teacher of everyone. And I had a friend in England, my friend Shimon, once said to me that all the laws in the world that we have today are based on the Torah that we got from Moshe, that he got at Sinai. That all the laws that we have in any country, any constitution, anything, it's all based, even loosely, and even if they don't follow the whole Torah Moshe, it's all based on the same Torah that we have. And I think there's the reason for that. Of course, like it was all Hashem's plan, it had to happen. Somebody would have got chosen, but why Moshe? Why Moshe Rabbenu was the one to bring us this Torah? And I think it's been touched upon a little bit, but by the rabbis at the table. But I think the main thing for me was that Moshe was always willing to go out of his comfort zone. He was always willing to go that extra mile, and sometimes the extra 100 miles. And he would also, as we've already touched upon, he would go out of his way for anybody, no matter how small that person was. No matter how small that person was, he would always go out of his way and he would help them. And even last night, it came up. I was thinking about what I should do in a certain situation, or in two different situations, and the answer was the same for both of them. It was, well, it's Moshe Rabbeinu's Hilulat. What would Moshe Rabbenu do in this situation? Would he do what's right for himself, or would he go out of his way to help somebody else, even to his own discomfort? And the answer was obviously Moshe would go out of his way for anybody. And that's what we see when he killed the Egyptian. He knew that it was going to be at his own, not just detriment, he had to run away. He knew he was going to have to run away. And he still did it. And then the next day, when he had this other thing with Dasan and Aviram, he knew that he could have reacted and he could have done something to one of them or both of them to keep them quiet. But his love for them was so much that he just said, okay, that's it, I'm done. Right, I'm going. And he went to the land of Cush, which is funny because that was the event. There was the two events that led to him being eventually the king of Cush and basically giving his values that he had from Yaakov Avinu, from Yitzchak, from Abraham. He took those values and he took them all to the land of Cush. And in an indirect way, that's why we're here today in Botzina Kadisha, because Moshe had those two events, and then he went to Cush and he taught the people in the land of Cush. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have Botzina Kadisha today. We wouldn't be sitting here. And I think in a way that connects to in a way, I think that connects to, there's a saying, I think it's in the Midrash a lot later in the story, and it's about how Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't allowed to see the land of Israel. I mean, he was allowed to see it, but he wasn't allowed to enter it. And the Midrash tells us that he had to choose. Hashem had a plan, and Hashem basically had two options. Number one was let Moshe enter the land, let him build the Beit HaMikdash, and it would be an everlasting monument and it would never be able to be destroyed. Or he could let Moshe sin or use the small I mean, for us to call it a sin is a sin in itself. We're not allowed to criticize Moshe. Even to say that he did wrong is crazy talk. But on his level, he did something which Hashem considered enough of a sin that he could say, "That's it. You're not allowed in my land. You can only see it, and you're not allowed in." And I think that it's all connected. The whole thing was that Moshe, he in a way, he knew, even though he wasn't. We don't know that he was explained explicitly by Hashem that this is this, this is that, and this is why this is happening. But I think he knew, at least deep down, he knew that by Hashem banning him from entering Eretz Israel, he was saving the entire Bnei Israel from being destroyed. Because that's the end point of the Midrash, is that if it wasn't for Moshe not being allowed in the land, then he would have built the Beit HaMikdash. It would have been an everlasting building. And then once the Bnei Israel sinned, which we were bound to do, everyone knows we do still, as a nation, unfortunately, we're always still sinning and not quite able to get to the level of Moshe. So I think Moshe took one for the team in the most greatest way possible, that he said, okay, even though that's the one thing I really want to do, I'm going to let myself be buried outside of the land, and at least that way the future will continue. And that's like Rabbi Benyamin Moshe was saying, that really he took that choice. He said, this is the moment, this is the now, and I'm willing to sacrifice my today so that everyone else can have a future. So I think that's really the lesson that I've learned the most from Moshe Rabbenu, is that sometimes we have things that we'd like to do, and however tempting it is, we know that in the bigger picture we must do something else because we have to help the other people. And as Rabbi Pinchas taught us a week or two ago, a person can be the greatest saint and act in the most righteous way, but if he isn't helping out other people, then he's still going, well, he could end up in Gehenna. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say.
Shalom, shalom.
C'était en pause ou en carré?